Hello, sir. So, for the viewers who would be watching this, okay, we have our alumni, Mr. Alok Soni, who was a part of Azabad Public School as a student, okay, and now he is working in France and he's staying in Switzerland. And he's actually from Faizabad, from Chalk location. So it's been a very great journey from Faizabad to Switzerland, from the plains of Uttar Pradesh to the hills of Switzerland. So the ice tops are going to be magnificent there, I hope. So today we are going to talk to Mr. Alok Soni, and I have a list of few questions that he would be answering. So welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Prakash.
So we'll start with your school life. Okay, my first question would be, when did you join Faizabad Public School, and what made you choose this school particularly?
Right. So when I was actually looking for schools back in like when I was in Faizabad, it was my 11th and 12th standard, and at that time I knew that which I mentioned to Prakash before, that I knew that Geeta Parihar ma'am was there, and she was one of the teachers in JVA before, and I heard a lot about her. And also, my brother was a close friend of Mr. Iqbal Mustafa at that time. So it kind of began two things that led me to join in, right? I don't exactly remember what year was that. I suppose it was 2003 or 4, somewhat like that. Yeah. So yeah, around that time, 2004, I would say, yeah, 2004, I joined in.
Okay. And is there any memorable moment that you remember from your school days from 11th and 12th while you were doing pursuing PCM? Yeah.
A lot of those,
Any
yeah,
interesting
because
thing?
a lot of things happened. I like a lot of things that actually helped me professionally, I would like to say, because this is a alumni party. You probably don't want to know about my crazy times, but around the same time, when I joined in Faizabad Public School, I used to be a very timid boy. So at that time, it was I was afraid of going to the stage. And one of the things that happened in my life and that has changed completely was Geeta Parihar ma'am coming to me and asking me that, Alok, I think that you have a ability to speak in front of people. Why don't you go and present news on the stage? Right. So it was just like taking some headings on the lines, and I did it once. I fumbled, but she helped me. She helped me and she said, it's not a problem. You fumbled. Next time you will do it better. And I did it. So that was one of the great memories. Yeah. But there are a lot. There are a lot. I cannot begin to start and say all those things.
Well,
I made
certainly,
friends.
sir. Okay, stage fear is certainly one of the most prominent challenges that we have for students. So talking about your subjects, okay, so you pursued PCM. So what was your favorite subject, and who were your favorite teachers apart from Geeta Parihar? Because we know she was one of your shining stars. So apart
Right.
from her, okay, do we have any other teachers whom you remember your favorite subjects?
Not, I'm sorry, but not particularly. I do not remember them much because there was a lot of changes during that school. So PCM sector was keep on moving. So I had a physics teacher who moved away, and then I joined another one. However, there was this brief time then when I had a chemistry teacher that I loved a lot. This was Hanuman Prasad, right? He joined in for about, I think. 7 or 8 months or 9 months, but he kind of pushed me toward the part of understanding science. Just not studying it, but trying to understand that what happens when the chemicals they react together. So that was a fascinating moment for me. And as you can imagine, I one thing that I would like to say that I was not a very good student from the beginning. Right. So when I joined in 10th, I was below mediocre, you can say, right? But Hanuman Prasad being there was a thing that changed my life in a certain way. Right? He came in, he said, try not to study everything, try to understand. And that led me to explore a lot about sciences later on, I'd say.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
So after completing 12th, did you get an opportunity to visit school again, school campus?
I did. I did. So that was, I think, a couple of years ago. My nephew was studying, came in for a brief 1 year session because my sister, my cousin, sorry, she was at home, and I get to meet Geeta Parihar ma'am. I get to meet Omar there at that time. Yeah, so it was nice.
Wonderful. And so, what do you think about the campus and the extracurricular activities that we have? Are they helpful for the students?
In a way, yeah. Like I do not know everything about that what you're running today, but with the time that when my nephew was there, I was quite into knowing that what they are doing, and he said that he's been taken to the music classes and he's been taken to the reading sessions. Those things are great for the development of students. So I would say that you're doing a quite good job with that.
Okay. And did the school prepare you for your career, because you had interest in chemistry and then you went on to join hotel management, I think?
Chemistry and hotel management is not that far away, and I'll explain you. Right, the chemistry is what the mixing of two different chemical compounds reacting together to make something else. In hotels, I had when I was back in India, I had this innate interest towards cooking, and cooking is what is basically that if you mix one thing
Okay.
and two, it makes a flavorful food, and that's one of the thing that took me to join hotel management colleges, because I thought that it matches one of my abilities, that speaking in front of public, and my sense of my hobbies around if I want to cook something, and it took me to hotel management. Particularly, I did not had a lot of to be very honest, did not had a lot of career talks with the teachers at that time, because we used to have a big strength in the class. But again, I think I was very close to Geeta Parihar ma'am, and she pushed me. She pushed me to do my career. So yeah, I'm a fanboy, if you can say.
Now, one of the challenges that I think the students of 2004, 2006 would have faced, okay, was that there was no Google, was no internet media, social media was not there. So we were not able to explore our horizons, exactly what options do we have. So that was
Right,
one of the challenges. So how did you
right.
come across hotel management?
Two ways. One was an acquaintance, but so one of my relative, he used to work in hotel industry back in days, and he told me no nice things about traveling. And by the way, I love traveling. And the other thing was a news articles that I was reading that particular day when I decided that I want to do hotel management. It was, I think, Dainik Jagran, and there was a section about that, how you can join hotel management and it can change things for you. And you're right, yeah. At that time, there was nothing like Google or Facebook or anything that can lead you to networking or try to understand, reach out to the professionals at that time.
So you did your hotel management from Bangalore, and then you got your first job at the Oberoi's in Gurgaon, right?
I did my hotel management not from Bangalore but from Ahmedabad.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was my bachelor's, and I got I did my 3 years of bachelor's in the sorry in IHM Ahmedabad, and then I moved. I was looking for jobs. I got a campus placement in quite a lot of places at that time, but I chose the uh, Gurgaon
Oberoi's.
as my overall is Gurgaon as my choice, because it was with direct in proximity to if I want to come back to home, which was in Faizabad.
How long did it take for you to find the first job?
Not a lot, actually. At that time, hotel management was a very hot career choice for everybody. I think in my campus placements, I gave 6 or 7 interviews, and I was like, it was quite elaborate interview sessions. But by the end of it, when I finished my bachelor's, I already had 3 jobs in my hand to choose from. So it did not took me a lot of time to find my first job. Yeah.
Okay. And then you switched to Marriott's in USA, right?
Yes. So after working for an year and a half in Oberoi, which was a great experience for me, I thought, it's time for me to expand my horizons and see that where I can go. And I found out that it's a nice thing that I should explore something outside. And in the US, I had a bit of contacts, and I like soft contacts, and I found out there's a position something. It is called a training program in the US, and I thought, let me apply. I did. I had my interviews. It went all well, and within a couple of weeks, I suppose, I had my offer to go to the US. I worked for Marriott for a year and a half in Florida, and then I moved down to another company, which was a startup in hotels in Seattle, in Washington.
No, so from the culture aspect, okay, okay, how different is India and USA? Because you had been living and born and brought up in India, okay, and then you moved to USA. So what's the cultural difference between the two countries? How did you, and also, okay, because you were away from your family, I hope. So how were you dealing with the pressure, okay, at that given point of time, the homesickness?
Okay, so I'll take the last question first, because I was a bit of a unique child in my times. My father used to travel a lot to do his business, so I was used to traveling with him. And then because I come from a big family, I didn't have that often and somebody looking after me all the time. So it was not that of a trouble for me to be outside of my comfort zone, which was India. But yeah, reaching to US was a bit of a culture shock for me. Right? In a lot of sense, US is same as India, but in a lot of other senses, you will find it difficult to cope up with. For example, in India, if you call somebody friend, that means afterwards, if you call him at 2 a.m. in the night saying that I have a fever and I have nobody to take care of me, people will come. Right? And in the US, it does not work like that. Even if you are very good friends and you are hanging out with your so-called friends, you cannot call them in the middle of the night. Right? It takes a very long time for you to get to that position. Also, the other thing that what we call in India, Indian Standard Time, IST, not the real IST, the habit of people being late. At first, it took me by surprise that when I was 10 minutes late to a meeting, and somebody looked at me in a wrong way and said, like, you should not be late. We were waiting for you in 15 minutes. I said, like, but call started like 10 minutes ago. Then why are you saying 15? Because we would expected that you will be here at 5 minutes before the meeting. So the sense of having the time is important for you was also another shock, because India, nobody actually bothers, right? I don't know now, but at that time nobody bothered if they are like 15-20 minutes late. They were like, I'm just 15 minutes late.
No, so our school, certainly we have the timetable that we have to follow, and I'm pretty sure that the government offices are still working on the same. So after working in USA, okay, you went to France, okay, and you had been bilingual, okay, you know Hindi and English, but communicating in France, okay, probably you're required to be proficient in French. So how did you manage that?
French is a crazy language. It's not that easy to master. So I will not downplay this part. So when I decided to come from US to France, at that time I had, luckily I had course. Shefali? Just a sec, sorry. Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry, I had thought. Yeah. Um, sorry for that. Probably you can you can trim it down later. So what I was saying is that coming to US from US to France, it was a bit of a tough journey for me. But luckily, I had an opportunity to learn French beforehand. So when I was in my bachelor's, I took courses. I went to Mumbai and I took French courses. I had no plans, but in hotel industry, French is a quite a prominent language. So I just wanted to get the gist of it, which led me to from when I was trying to decide that which country I should go from US to other. I thought, the French is. I have a bit of a knowledge of French. Why don't I go to the French on France side? However, when I landed in France, I realized that I know nothing. Right? So first year and a half was a bit of a difficult situation for me, but what I've been told, and I had a very good guidance from my friends, my colleagues, my university here in France, is that it told me that how to progress in French. So I was attending constant French classes. So I started from level A1. So we have level A to C, and they are divided into multiple sections. So I started at level A1. By the time I got out from my school, I had already a B1 level, which is an advanced level. So I can hold up a conversation, I can talk about things. But I did not stop there because I knew that if I'm trying to learn the language and probably I'm looking for the job in the next couple of months, then it would be nice for me to have a fluent level. So I did also a course which was a semester, not 2 semesters in French, where I got the level of C1, which is fluent bilingual language. So now I'm happy to say that I'm fluent in Hindi, English, and French, so I can speak all three languages equally.
Wonderful, sir. So what is the most challenging? Okay, so you're working, how many days are you working right now, sir? In a
I
week?
have 5 days in a week, yeah.
5 days is working, okay. So wonderful, sir, that you have 2 days of free time, okay. But how do you handle the work pressure in these 5 days?
So
So
I've
if you have,
been lucky in that term of, like, in France, we have a very strict rule about that how many days one can work. So we originally on paper we work on 5 days, but sometimes it does go. So right now the call that interrupted was one of the calls that I received from the office that they are probably having some difficulty. But this is very limited. I would say that during the weekdays, the pressure is very high because I manage. I'm a manager in a tech company where I'm managing about 500 employees who are sales employees, right, around the world. So if they have any problem, they call me. I'm their primary contact, and it sometimes it gets overwhelming, but the way you manage it is by having the process around it. It's not everybody, like if you have 500 contacts reaching out to you every single day, you will go mad. So
right.
we have a proper organization of things that how somebody can reach out to me and in which condition. Other than that, we make sure that everything is available for them in most detailed way. Somewhere they will find it easily. So most of the questions are very simple, but you manage it, right?
Okay, so you have the SOPs in place.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so so when we talk, so you are working as a manager. So my next question is about what qualifications do you seek? Okay, if someone is trying to join your organization. Okay, because if anyone from Faizabad Public School, okay, they want to go to a corporate. Okay, because the same qualifications will be required there also. So what are the qualifications or what are the traits that you're looking for in a new hire, sir?
Well, every company is different that how they do their hiring, right? But in my organization, like if you're joining in my team, it would be more important rather than the qualification part. What would be more important is the skills part of your thing. So qualification doesn't really matter, like doesn't really tells you anything. Like if you are a topper in your class, let's say 90% or above achievement, or the other person who is a 70% and a medium achiever, it would not be easy for me to say that, you know, one is better than the other. So what I would like to see in that person is that does he have a desire to join, like desire to do his job, right? How passionate he is, and what he has done in the past. Right? It is more important for me to know the person rather than knowing his qualifications. If you are, but of course, there is an entry level qualification for everybody to join in, right? in a company. So if you have a bachelor's in something, like it can be like, of course, literature would be a bit difficult for us to get into. But let's say that you have a bachelor in science or technology or something like that, you could be easily be able to join our company here.
Okay. Now,
did I answer your question, or did I miss something?
No, you had answered my question. My next question is actually related to it. So apart from the studies, okay, is there anything else, okay, any other courses that one has to pursue, okay, before they complete their graduation, so that they would be up and ready for the corporate, or a normal graduation will suffice?
Well, to be very honest, today's education, especially in India, does not prepare you for everything. You need to have an edge in order to get a good job, a better job, and a job that interests you. So one of the things that I always tell, even to my direct reports, my guys who work for me, is that have that interest, which is something different, and it is coming from the other side. So from my side, it was an edge that I knew French. Okay, another language is always a plus, right? But you can also do something else. Like for example, you're looking for a job in an IT sector, right? People would ask you to have one or two coding languages as a knowledge. Like you are a software developer, probably you have skills for Java. In that case, I would ask you to have an extra edge, go a bit further, learn HTML5, which is an older language, or learn C++, which is going to give you another edge, or Python that will help you with the another transition. Because in today's job, it is much important to have that extra skill set there rather than having just a degree, because degree, again, as I said, does not prepare you for everything. So do your research. If you're trying to look for a job, do your research and try to stimulate that what these kind of companies are looking for a new hire, right? So you can look for, go to LinkedIn, for example, or Indeed, and look for the similar job profiles. Go deep in it, that what is the requirement there, and always read the end of the job description, which I put a lot of preference in my case, is that what they are looking as the soft skills. Right? If they want you to be a team player, learn to be a team player, right? A lot of companies, especially in Europe and the US, they don't like people who try to step up on someone else's toe, right? They want that a team is harmonious. I would be happy to hire somebody who has less information, but like less knowledge about the subject, than the person who always in conflict with someone else, or has in conflict with the team.
So in my experience, okay, from what you're saying, okay, there's a difference with the corporate culture of India and corporate culture of Europe and US, I think, because
there's a bit, but there is also a kind of let's say a layer that also goes. So due to globalization in the early 2000s, a lot of American, British companies and companies from Europe, they made their bases in France. in India. So a lot of this corporate culture also transitions over there. So if you go again, like you're looking for a job, you go to, let's say, to PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a financial firm. And when you say that, how this is my degree, but I also have knowledge in XYZ, which is
Right.
additional to your position, they will look for. And again, because this is a corporate culture which is coming from Europe, they will appreciate that you read at the bottom of that job description, you know, the soft skills part. You don't have to always step up step on the toes of someone else. You have to show that, you know, you're good at your job, you're actually great at your job, but you also can work in a team.
Right. You have to be a team player, okay, to be a successful man.
I have, yeah, just for like for the clarity's sake, why I'm saying is that because we hire a lot in India. I have 7 of my direct reports in India who are working in data analytics. So we do hire in India, and I always look because I'm an Indian. They sometimes give me the opportunity to hire in the cross-functional teams, like not hire, but like sit with them and have an interview with the cross-functional teams. And so I look for the same thing, always same thing. You have to be a bit extra and a bit more workable in team, like and more harmonious in team.
You had been, I think, greatly successful. Okay, but if you can go back in time, okay, would like to change something from your school days till today, what would be that one thing that you would like to change about yourself?
I would not like to be shy.
You don't want
not like to be shy. Yeah. That cost me greatly. That cost me greatly because at least it cost me a couple of extra years in my career. Because now that I have been working, I see that, you know, there is no place to be shy in the world. If you're good at it, if you're good at something, don't try to under-evaluate yourself and talk yourself down or not to speak. If you are good at something, then show it by working, show it by, you know, and have different things like different hobbies in your life, because one part is good, that you're good at working, but do you also have your hobbies, by the way, which helps you to be good at your work?
And your hobbies are playing badminton and?
So badminton, yes. So badminton was something that was introduced by my brother back in the days, because he was an athlete. He used to go to badminton and he used to go to stadium to run. So he used to take me to this like badminton ground, like place where we had, and I started playing. So badminton is one thing that I still do, right? So I still go to the court to play. The other thing that I do is coin collection, because I love traveling. I do collection of coins. So this hobby is known as numismatism, right? Where you bring all these different coins from different part of the world or different era, and you collect it. It gives you a lot of knowledge, because when you look at a coin, you can it intrigues you to know more about it, like the other side of it. There's a king. Who was that king? Why the king was there? Why he is no longer there? Or looking at a coin, like why it is silver and why this is no longer silver. So it helps you explore the history, explore everything. And again, because I joined hotels, so I love cooking. So I do that too.
Okay, so the next part, sir, okay, we are going to talk about a survey kind of thing. So on a scale of 1 to 10, आपका ओवरऑल एक्सपीरियंस कैसा था स्कूल के साथ में?
Well, overall अच्छा था. Like overall, if you say, so and I think that
0 से 10 के बीच में आप उसे अगर अंक देना चाहें तो?
अंक अगर मैं उसको एक नंबर दूंगा, तो I would call it about 8. And 8 because it was a great experience for me, and not complete 10 because I had a bit of a problem around the fact that career guidance में थोड़ा सा मुझे और चाहिए था, and I would have liked it. But overall, 8 is a phenomenal thing. I don't want to.
Yeah, 8 is a passive. Okay, so we'll certainly accept that. So it's a high passive. So we'll certainly accept that. Second question, sir. On a scale of 1 to 10, okay, how would you recommend? आप अब इस स्कूल को किसी और को अगर बताना होगा तो क्या आप स्कूल को recommend
Highly
करेंगे
recommend
किसी?
it. Highly recommend it, because one of the reason was highly recommend it, and I can show you that I let my nephew go to Faizabad Public School personally. So
Thank you, sir.
this is the level of my recommendation.
Thank you, sir. And any feedback or any suggestions that you have for the management, exactly what we need to work on so that हमारे बच्चे कल को और अच्छे और अच्छी जगहों पर जा सके और अच्छा improve हो सके? School point of view, sir.
I think the schools ना इनमें एक तरीके से DNA develop होना चाहिए, rather than focusing on student, because मैं खुद भी बहुत अच्छा student नहीं था, ठीक है? So this gives me a thing that ना कि आज के टाइम पे maybe students के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा numbers का जोर नहीं डालना चाहिए कि तुमको high achieving बनना है. If they are like, of course you cannot leave your students कि वो fail हो रहे हैं. Then in that sense you definitely have to push them to excel in their education. But on the other hand, हमारे side में it's very important कि we should encourage students towards achieving other things as well. 90% आ गया, मेरा वही joining hierarchy, or if you are joining my team thing.
Right.
It's not important always for a student to be 100%, to very excellent in education at that point, but also try to bring them into extracurricular activities. The one that I had, public speaking, it helped me. It helps me every single day. I don't care about that if I'm talking in front of 2 people or 100 people or 200 people. Gives me that confidence that I can deliver the message across the board where they can understand me and do that. So in short, I would say that, spend some time finding that thing in that student, right? A little bit.
I think your feedback has already been taken, sir, because public speaking is something that I take care of in Faizabad Public School now. So
Right.
I'm working on that. Okay, I'm working with all my students and also with the career counseling. Okay, so me, Umar sir, we are working on the same, so that our students, okay, are not in a dark, okay, when they leave class 12th, okay, because they should know
Right.
exactly where they are headed. So we're working on
Right.
that. And thank you very much for spending time with me on this interview, on this alumni meet. It was wonderful talking to you, sir. And once you are back in India, okay, we would like to host you again in our school. Okay, so thank you
I'd be
very
happy
much,
to.
sir.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Hopefully, I don't know when we can travel, because Corona has not left me a lot of choices. It's been about 2 years since I visited. But yeah, I love to visit. Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you, Prakash.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day, sir. Bye, sir.
Yeah. Say hi to Omar, and we'll keep in touch.
Certainly, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Bye.